In the middle of a beautiful beach, the story will focus on a man and father named Nicholas who goes to the beach with his son at Luna Bay, a famous beach with big waves suitable for surfers and beautiful scenery that is a feast for the eyes. Upon arriving at Luna Bay, Nicholas tells his son to change first while he calls a real estate agent to talk about the house he wants to buy near the beach. Nicholas' main goal is not just to surf, but to buy a dream house in that location. However, another buyer offered a higher price in cash, so the real estate agent gave Nicholas by 24 hours to prepare the cash.
I'm the one buying it.
Yeah, maybe not. There's an...
After changing his clothes, Nicholas and his son went straight down to the beach to surf. However, just as they set foot on the sand, a big tall man forbade them from surfing there and threatened violence if Nicholas did not comply. While the argument is still going on, another man appears who seems to be the boss of the big tall man. He was Skelly, the head of the local surfing community, who asked Nicholas and his son to leave for no apparent reason. Nicholas must not surf there if he doesn't want anything untoward to happen. Finally, Nicholas and his son return to the car in the parking lot with changed clothes. The son is actually not very interested in beach activities and prefers to spend time at home. Meanwhile, Nicholas is still excited about telling his desire to buy a house in that place. However, because his son kept whining about going home, Nicholas finally decided to deliver him first. An hour later, Nicholas returned again alone and parked in the same place. He was seen contacting his broker to immediately cash out his money to buy the house in cash.
Way back as soon as you can.
A few minutes passed. The broker did not call and gave good news. Under the scorching hot sun and the car's air conditioning is less cold, Nicholas remained patiently waiting. Just then, he saw a local surfer who was greeting visitors, and the young man suddenly stuck out his tongue. But suddenly, a tramp who often wandered on the beach appeared and put a missing dog brochure on the windshield of Nicholas's car, which made Nicholas object. The tramp has an old car that has been parked for a long time on the beach and often becomes a mockery of local teenagers who are there. Late in the evening, several teenage girls come to join Skelly and her community on the beach. A pizza delivery man also came to deliver the order. Because Nicholas has not eaten since this afternoon, Nicholas was trying to buy a box of pizza at a price of $100 because it is considered a tourist who is on vacation in this place. Because there was no other choice and he was very hungry, he bought it even though the price was expensive, which because the drinking water ran out, he put his pizza on the car, then took drinking water at the public water tap. But when he returned, his pizza was already lying in a trampled condition and his surfboard was stolen by some Skelly community youth. Nicholas tries to retrieve the board, but upon arriving, Nicholas is immediately greeted by members of the community who suddenly beat him. Lucky Nicholas was able to defeat the young man because of his experience as a fiery skull man. When he returned to the car, Nicholas immediately called the police to report the incident, and until he fell asleep waiting for the officers who did not come. The next morning, Nicholas is woken by an officer who was on the phone last night, where Nicholas immediately told the chronology of the problem and asked him to go down to fix it. Because the distance from the parking lot to the beach is quite far, Nicholas approached the homeless uncle to borrow his binoculars. However, it was not free. Nicholas had to exchange it for his expensive glasses. And Nicholas was surprised to see that the officer was still in a circle with Skelly. Realizing this, Nicholas, who had exhausted his patience, decided to go down and come to them, asking for his surfboard to be returned immediately. But Skelly claims that the surfboard has been there since the summer of 7 years ago. The officers also validate Skelly's claims, which leaves Nicholas bewildered by their behavior. When Nicholas returns to the car, the officer appears who confirms that the surfboard does indeed belong to the Skelly community. Nicholas then asked about the benefits of the community and why they forbid outside visitors to surf. The officer replied that Skelly was one of the most prominent people in the area who often contributed money to the development and needs of the community, so that none of the local people dared to reprimand him, not even the authorities. In short, in the middle of the hot sun, Nicholas's Lexus car ran out of electricity, and he who felt thirsty was forced to go to the public toilet to shower and urinate to relieve heat and dehydration. Just as he had put away his expensive shoes and suit, he saw Uncle Tramp's face in the mirror. When he finished, Nicholas found his suit and shoes had been taken away by people. Not only that, 3 naughty young men also scribbled on his Lexus car. When going after him, his foot was pierced by a sharp object that made him have to treat it first. While treating his leg, Nicholas met a tourist photographer who photographed him several times. Nicholas also asked for help to charge the electricity from his car battery. While they waited, they talked and got to know each other. After the battery was fully charged, Nicholas got into the car and turned on the air conditioner to the maximum. He still remembered the face of Skelly, who had taken over his favorite surfboard. Out of curiosity, Nicholas looked for information about Skelly on social media. As it turns out, Skelly is a wealthy businessman who owns a surf community on the beach. However, surprisingly, this community has a unique ritual that requires new members to be baptized by immersion in water. Nicholas is increasingly curious and a little worried about what is really going on in the Skelly community. After observing the activities of Skelly and his members, Nicholas, who was hungry, bought coffee and bread at a small stall that had just opened with QRIS payment. However, his phone died because he ran out of power, and his cash was also lost along with his wallet, suit, and shoes. The merchant gives Nicholas a little mercy by offering an electricity loan to charge his batteries, but he asks for an expensive watch that Nicholas wears as his guarantee. After that, Nicholas received unpleasant treatment from a buyer who was upset about waiting for a long queue. After enjoying a coffee, Nicholas sees two newly arrived tourists and tries to warn them not to surf on the beach. As Nicholas was about to leave, the tourist couple said that they had no cash, but offered a little food if Nicholas was hungry. So unconsciously, Nicholas looks like a bum due to his shabby and unconvincing appearance. As per the warning, the tourist couple was harassed by members of the Skelly community who forbade them both to surf at the place. Regardless of the fate of the two, Nicholas returned to the parking lot and saw that there was a telephone booth at the location. Remembering that there was a dime in his car, he immediately took the coin to call his broker so that the money could be quickly dispersed, but the broker was not there and could only be contacted at 9:00 a.m. tomorrow. Seeing Skelly and his members laugh at Nicholas' unfortunate fate, making him even more stressed and depressed. Fed up with all of them, Nicholas takes a car tire key as a weapon and goes to the Song, which is the headquarters of Skelly and his community. Intending to take his skateboard, he actually had to be bitten by a dog that made him caught and hunted by everyone. Nicholas tried to run and hide behind bushes near the parking lot, and then slept in that place until the next morning. When he woke up, he was surprised that his car had disappeared from the parking lot. There was only an old car that belonged to a homeless uncle there. Before long, the officers of the apparatus carried out daily patrols and considered Nicholas a tramp who used to roam the place. The officer convinces Nicholas that the old car belonging to the homeless uncle is Nicholas's car that has been parked there for a long time. After hearing the strangeness expressed by the officer, Nicholas sat on the stairs to the housing complex and met a housing agent who was with a family who intended to buy a dream house that Nicholas wanted. Just like the officer just now, the estate agent also did not recognize him and considered Nicholas a bum. Seeing the merchant open his stall, Nicholas hurried to meet the merchant to pick up his cell phone that was charged there yesterday. However, the merchant did not recognize him at all, and the teenagers there laughed at him. After feeling mocked by the residents here, Nicholas was forced to get into an old car owned by a homeless uncle to take shelter. He found a scrap of newspaper with a picture of a teenager with his father and a sharp bauble necklace he had taken to keep that might be useful for splitting or tearing things. In the middle of the hot sun, Skelly suddenly came to Nicholas with cold drinks, burgers, and watermelons. Skelly feels sorry for Nicholas, who lives in the illusion of his own mind. Skelly tells the story of Nicholas, who lost his father to suicide on the beach. The photo of the teenage surfer in the old car is a photo of Nicholas when he was a teenager, which means that the homeless uncle never existed and was never real because the homeless uncle was Nicholas himself. As a result of starvation and dehydration, Nicholas's mind and mental state became chaotic. He becomes confused to distinguish what is real and what is not. Is Skelly's remark true or just a lie? Unable to think clearly, Nicholas, whose stomach was croncom, began to ruffle the trash can and picked up a pile of mouse carcasses that he almost ate. A few hours later, when the beach was already crowded with visitors, Nicholas met the photographer's woman again. He checked the file on his camera as he took the front photo of his Lexus and discovered that all of Skelly's remarks yesterday were lies. Everyone in the place conspired to play with his mind. Fed up with everything, Nicholas pulls out the wooden signboard and immediately attacks Skelly's member, who has a large, tall body. Skelly, who saw him, was proud of Nicholas and thought he had passed the test. Nicholas officially became part of that community and was taken to the main headquarters. After Nicholas is injected with a tranquilizer to calm him down, Skelly reveals all the real facts, that it was all part of his plan to get Nicholas to the point of despair as a test to become a member of the community. The police officers and the merchant are all part of his plan, and Nicholas' electric car is not really gone, but taken to the workshop for service. Even the dream house he wants will be given to him free of charge. The next morning, after coming to his senses, Nicholas must perform a final test to confirm himself as a member. He had to burn the old car belonging to Uncle Bum because it is considered to have littered this place for a long time. As everyone cheered to celebrate Nicola's inauguration as a member, Nicola's son appeared who came to catch up with him after several days of absence, which is because Nicholas has officially become part of the community, so his son Nicholas was invited to join them. Uncomfortable with those people and their strange community, Nicholas tells his son to go down to the beach first while he searches for the car keys to escape. But suddenly a homeless uncle appeared who shouted while carrying a crackle containing a firearm and ran to the beach. The tramp uncle threatens everyone with a gun and reminds Skelly of his son who died on that beach. It is revealed that the boy Nicholas had seen in the newspaper was his uncle's son who died while taking the community entrance exam test. I blame them all for that. Because the bullet was left 3, Uncle also chose 3 people in exchange for his son's life, namely Skelly, Nicholas, and his son who actually had nothing to do at all. Nicholas suddenly remembered the necklace he had taken from the old car. The necklace belonged to his uncle. So with a few moving words, Uncle's heart finally melted and let Nicholas and his son go. Nicholas and his son did not leave the place, but instead surfed on the beach. However, Skelly is eventually shot by the uncle who feels that Skelly deserves it because of his rude behavior and disturbing visitors to the beach. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next movie recap.